Good afternoon. I'll now call this regular council meeting Monday, February 2nd, 2026 to order at 5 p.m. Hope I can get through this one without a coughing fit. First of all, we'd like to respectfully acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the unceded ancestral territory of the Silks Okanagan peoples and the Splatsin of the Secwepemc Nation. To start, we're looking for a motion to adopt the agenda that the February 2nd, 2026 regular council meeting be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Wayner, seconded by Councillor Valstar. All those in favor? That will be carried. And next, we'll be looking for an adoption of the minutes of the January 12th, 2026 regular council meeting minutes be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Todd, seconded by Councillor Drapala. All those in favor? And this too shall be carried. And we get to start off our evening with item 4.1, long service awards. And I'd like to ask Mr. Kerry Fox, please come up and join us for a second. You can sit wherever you like. You're just a citizen now, right? Yeah. I just wanted to personally thank you very much for all those years of service. You made the city very, very successful looking after all our pipes, underground water, sewer. Without you, I'm sure there would have been far many more incidences occurring. It's going to be a great loss to our community, and there's really some big shoes to fill. So personally, thank you very much. And I'm going to pass it off to Trevor.
Thank you, Worship. So as Worship indicated, Kerry was with the organization for almost 28 years. Has been a big part of the community. Has probably seen a lot of changes from when he started to when he left. Certainly in my brief time been here, has been a pleasure working with him. And we wanted to take this opportunity for council to be able to say their thanks as well. And we do have a retirement gift here that we wanted to give him, and we'll give that to him and get a picture here. And again, just an opportunity to say thanks. So.
Carrie, I'd like to add to that. You've just been kind of a bright light for most of the time and coming down and helping us out with our planters, for example, and always been very proactive in trying to solve problems. So really appreciated having you there. We're going to miss you. Probably never told you that before, did I?
Can I say something from the sky?
Oh, am I interrupting you there, Ryan?
Yeah, sorry, Jesse. Go ahead.
You go ahead there, sir.
Hey, no, Carrie, just want to just echo everybody's sentiments and thank you very much for all your years of service. I don't think the community really appreciates some of the experiences that you've probably undergone with late night phone calls and SCADA calling you in the middle of the evening to deal with water and sewer issues and et cetera, et cetera. And some of the circumstances you've been put in are not the most hygienic and certainly I'm appreciative that there's someone out there that's looking after ensuring that when we flush the toilets and turn on the taps that everything goes down and good clean water comes out. So Carrie, thanks a lot for your service. And I mean it honestly, and on behalf of the community, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you very much. You know, as an electrician, I know that there's a lot of things that people don't see that are underground and behind walls and hidden behind things that we need in order to have our everyday life. And we really appreciate all the work that you've done, and I imagine you probably know things that nobody else knows, and we thank you for it. Your wife knows, that's right.
You've been around ever since I started on council, and it's short in comparison to your career. But even in my short time, the changes that have happened within the system have been staggering. And I think just your knowledge of where we've come from to where we are now is really going to be missed in the community. So thank you for helping guide us to where we are today.
Yeah, I just want to say, as a newer counselor, thank you for helping onboard us and showing us the way things work and how things are run. I remember, I guess, late nights in the fire hall, having to call into the city, things got taken care of. And I really appreciate all those years of service and how reliable you were for us. Thank you.
My turn. I know from just running the restaurant, when we turned the taps on, things came out, and when we flushed the toilets, it all worked. And that was on you most of the time, I'm sure. And here at council, it's been interesting to watch what goes on, but knowing that you were at the helm made it a lot easier to just rest easy. So thank you again.
Just one more. Does that mean you'll stay now?
We want to say thank you to the city of Armstrong. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed working for the city of Armstrong. Yes, I've seen many changes here, everywhere in the city. Shirley, you're the familiar face I've seen first time around. So, no, not really. So I want to say thanks to the city and all you guys for all your hard work you do to keep our community going the way it's going. So I appreciate all we got too. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for everything.
Certainly not every day we get to do that, so it's real special. Thanks for coming back for that, Kerry. And once again, you will be truly missed. Thanks, buddy. And next up, item 4.2, we have a delegation from Tolco, Mr. Michael Towers, regarding a letter that was sent out to us. You're going to try to provide an explanation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I thought it'd probably be best if I went through a bit of our application there. The notice is a bit technical and it's a bit of a prescribed process that the Ministry of Environment makes us go through. So just a sort of an overview of what we're doing there and potentially what it means to people around the facility and that at this point in time. So first of all, we have made changes to that permit in the past. We recently made one back in 2023. They were all administrative changes back at that time. There were no changes to any of the permitted emissions at the site. And it's quite an old permit. It's been around since 1975. The early 70s is when the ministry finally started giving permits to industry. Before that, there was no such thing as an air permit. So that permit's been there for a long time. In our amendment, there are basically two types of changes that we're asking for. One is slight changes to existing permitted emissions that are on the permit. And the other is addition of emission points that are not currently on the permit. And when I say they're not currently on the permit, they've always been at the mill. There's no new emission points being added to our facility. But these points that we're adding, these are cyclones that we would use to extract ambient dust from inside the buildings to collect it and make sure it doesn't accumulate within the buildings, become a combustible dust problem. And that those historically, for whatever reason, were not included in the air permit because they were generally seen as more of a health and safety issue than a environmental issue. They're seeing generally a low amount of wood dust go through them compared to the other cyclones that are on the permit, which are more of a conveyance type of application where we're sending very large amounts of sawdust, shavings, all the residuals that we produce at the mill site, and we're conveying them from one part of the mill to another part of the mill, usually the truck bins that they then get loaded into the trucks and carried off the sites and taken to pellet mills and pulp mills and whatnot. Like those cyclones will see tens of thousands of tons of material per year, Whereas the dust extraction cyclones, the ones that haven't been on the permit in the past, we typically see like tens of tons of material going through them. And that's not the emissions, that's the total material going through them. So that is why those ones are being added. I can talk a little bit about the changes to the existing things that are on our permit. We've gone through all the old cyclones. We had an engineer come in, measure all the flow rates. So we've adjusted the flow rates of existing cyclones. Virtually, some are higher, some are lower. There's not much of an overall change, but because we're changing a bunch of the numbers in the cyclone, they've got to be in the permit amendment. And then there are some changes that we're doing to the cogen part of our facility. One of the changes deals with our startup and shutdown procedures. We're asking for a 13-hour period to bypass our electrostatic precipitator, which is the last stage in our emissions treatment. So during a cold startup to a hot running, or from hot running all the way to a cold shutdown, we're asking for 13 hours of bypass. And the reason up to 13 hours of bypass. And I should say that, we don't intend to use the full 13 hours, but what our guys have found is in the cold of winter, when we start from ambient temperatures, cold of winter, to get up to operating temperature, we need that much time to get up to the temperature where it's safe to turn on the ESP. And the risk of starting up the ESP early is it can create a spark. And if we are, the combustion is not fully complete at the lower temperatures, we can get a buildup of carbon monoxide in the system. It's possible. And that spark from the ESP has the potential to start a fire or an explosion or something like that. So it's really to get up to that safe operating temperature. In the event of what we call a short-term shut, where we're tripped for a very short amount of time, this might be a mechanical failure, could be a lightning strike. This could be a trip on BC Hydro's system. They take our turbine offline. Generally, we can get back up and running again because the system is still hot. So we've asked for 4 hours of bypass time in those cases, up to 4 hours in bypass time in those cases. And the final thing that we've asked for at the cogen is we're currently permitted to take up to 10% of our fuel from municipal landfills, the clean wood waste that's generated in municipal landfills. The majority of this material is wood pallets, stumps, large chunks of woody debris, could be lumber trim ends from construction. This is, right now that 10% is becoming a bit of a limit for us. We have historically run that facility off of sawmill residuals. And as you know, the sawmill industry has seen better days. We're not, the availability of residuals from sawmills, and we use not only all the sawmill the bark from our mills, we use Gorman Brother mills. We go as far away as Revelstoke to the Downey mill there to get bark. And it's becoming less and less available. And we see this clean material from area landfills as being a potential offset for that in the future. Right now, we're taking a bunch of material from different landfills. We go as far north as Salmon Arm, as far south as Oliver. And so we're asking in our permit to increase the permitted amount of that material to be up to 50% of our allotted fuel amount. We don't foresee getting to 50% in the near future, but it's to give us, the headspace to grow and manage our fuel appropriately. And so I think that's a summary of what we're asking for, what's in our amendment. And if Mayor or Council has any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the presentation. I think I've got a better view of kind of what you guys are asking for. So essentially you're amending your permit so that the electrostatic thing is for cleaning the air?
So what happens is in our boiler, we combust the wood waste. It goes through what we call an air trap to catch any large debris goes up into the top furnace. We go through what we call our multi-clones, and these are, you know, a series of cyclones to pick out any again, coarse, sandy particulates and whatnot. And the last phase is the electrostatic precipitator, which are essentially metal plates, large metal plates that become charged when we turn it on, and they attract the fine particulate that is in the still left after the multi-clones. And it attracts, it sticks to these plates. And then every once in a while, we have wrappers that hit the plates and it all drops down. And that's between that material and the multi-clone material that we collect, that's called our fly ash. We collect that, and generally that goes to agriculture in the region. They use it as a substitute for lime on their fields.
Okay, so so the electrostatic plates, those are the things that you don't want to turn on until the
Until we get rid of all that carbon monoxide.
and you've got three different areas that you want this done, one for 13 hours, one for 4 hours, and the other one?
So we have 3 boilers at the facility, and they all use those ESPs, the same ESPs. We have ESP1, ESP2. The flow just gets split between those ESPs. The big cogen boiler can only run by itself. The smaller other 2 boilers that just produce process steam, we only use those if the big cogen boiler is down for shutdown or for maintenance. What we're asking for is essentially 2 categories of time that we can bypass. One is a full startup and full shutdown. That is, we're starting from cold and going to operating temperature, or we're at operating temperature and we're shutting the whole thing down and going to cold. And during that, for either one of those, we need 13 hours. Doesn't matter the boilers. Okay. The other one we're asking for is a short-term shut where, it's unplanned. It's an outage that happens. We'll be running along and just something happens. The guys will figure out what it is, but when it happens, we've got to seriously shut down load on the boiler. So we stop fuel, we'll cut down on air. And in those times, you could get, again, the formation of carbon monoxide and that. So we shut off the ESPs to make sure that we're not going to get into a difficult situation. And what we found is that when we've got a problem like that, it generally takes us about 4 hours to solve the problem and get back up to full operating temperature. And if we don't do that, generally it's a bigger problem and we've got to go all the way down. And that's when we would use the 13-hour.
Okay, sorry, just last follow-up here. So I'm sorry, I'm simplifying it so much because I need it. But the electrostatic air purifier thing is when they're turned off, the collection stuff just goes
To the atmosphere.
to the atmosphere, to the neighbors.
So
Little A, little B.
Well, I mean, so the electrostatic precipitators is for the finer material, and the finer material is the stuff that's going to get dispersed more into the atmosphere, higher into the atmosphere. The stuff that is collected by the earlier stages, the multi-clones and the particulate trap that we've got, that material is the more larger size that will typically fall quick to the neighbors, and that. So the ESPs, generally that stuff will get more dispersed into the atmosphere, and the further you away, the more dispersion that happens, the concentration lessens. I will say that as part of our amendment, we are required by the Ministry of Environment to do what's called an air dispersion model. So we've hired a consultant and they will come in, model all the emissions from our site, build a model of the air shed, and try and figure out based on historic wind and direction and that, what happens with the emissions. We're more than happy to share the results of that with Mayor and Council if you want at a later time. We're waiting for the Ministry of Environment to sign off on our what we call our plan for that, and to make sure that it meets their requirements of the BC Air Monitoring Directive. But we're more than happy to share that.
Thank you thank you for coming and speaking to us directly. So what I'm hearing is there could be potential of some short-term pain for some long-term gain. And if that is a possibility, is there a communication that goes out or a warning or to the neighbors?
No,
what happens?
and I should say, like, we're not, this is not new. The only thing that's changing is the time that we're allowed. Under our existing permit, I believe that we were allowed 12 hours on boiler 4 and 8 hours on boiler 1 and 2. And there was no differentiation between a long-term, to like a full shutdown and a short-term shutdown. And so what our guys have said is, well, what we found in our operating experience, that 12 hours that we had for boiler 4 was just a little bit too short in the coldest conditions, so we need to bump it to 13. Not that we will use the 13 all the time, it's just when we need it. And then they said, well, there's also these times that we have just a short-term hiccup in the operations that we only need 4. So what we proposed is to, amend that section of the permit to more what's realistic to our current operation. So it's not like we haven't been shutting down the ESP before. We've had to be safe, right? So it's just the times that we need to get into that safe zone.
Just to summarize, so by that last comment, you're saying you guys are just asking for like an extra hour. That's what
Yes,
you're saying of what you're already doing.
correct.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Nietzsche.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Thanks for attending tonight and giving us some context. I think we were being asked to make comment on this application by the province, but not having the technical knowledge that you have, it was difficult to give that comment. So I really appreciate you providing that context for us. I was actually quite interested to hear about the amendments to the permit regarding wood waste and using that for wood waste energy and taking that from the landfills. I think there certainly is a regional benefit up and down the valley to that, and that material is likely being ground up and put back into our landfills, and so diverting that and converting into waste makes good sense to me. Just one simple question. Typically, how many of these shutdowns do you guys experience in a year? I'm sure it varies depending on operations, but just typically, how many do we have a year?
Typically, it'll be at least 2 planned shutdowns a year, and we'll have between 3 and 4 unplanned, sort of short-term type of shutdowns.
Okay, so quite infrequent. Thanks.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you, Worship. Thanks for your presentation. The document we had originally, this made it far less nefarious, just listening to you here today. So I just want to tell you that I appreciate that. Yeah, so that's better. It makes me a little less confused and concerned. Thank you.
I just wanted to echo Councillor Nietzsche's comments about the wood waste. I think that was good. I think that's a great usage and benefit. The reason I think that the concern came up was we have a nasty dust situation in Armstrong, as you're very well aware, and with Woodtone Industries also just making changes out there, and then you guys asking for change at yours. And of course, we have our local issue there that it is a concern of all residents that that we're not putting anything else in the air. And I don't think what you're asking for is unreasonable in any way, shape, or form. And I feel more comfortable hearing it firsthand. So again, thank you for your presentation. And I think that's that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And next up, we'll have 5.1, 2026 SOGA call for resolutions. And Chantel, you have a report for us?
I do. Thank you, Your Worship. You'll have to excuse my voice, Mayor and councillors. This report is purposed with soliciting council's interest in moving forward any resolutions to the Southern Interior Local Government Association Convention. Of course, SILGA has issued its first call for resolutions for the 2026 resolution cycle. This is part of the broader UBCM resolutions process, as you might know, which allows local governments to raise shared concerns and bring forward issues that affect municipalities across the province. Excuse me. It should give you the opportunity to present unified voices with other local governments in the region to take you through the resolutions process. We haven't made any recommendations for this because, again, we're soliciting your input as to some topics that you might want to put forward. So I'd like to leave the floor to you, Mayor Kramer, to facilitate that discussion. And if there are any topics, we can help you draft resolutions on the fly right here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm actually going to defer a little bit to Councillor Fowler because she's always on top of this. Was there anything prominent that we haven't seen that's come up locally or the region that we can back?
Well, we do have some resolutions coming from regional district, but I see somebody down here. Were you going to? No, I thought he had something to say. So I don't have anything specific to bring forward.
All right, just to note though, we do have until the 25th to submit something. So if we do have any answers, we can communicate, or any questions, we can communicate and forward that off to Chantel, I think. Correct?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that it's until February 20th would be our deadline. My apologies. So because February 20th deadline is prior to our next regular meeting, that's why it's here today. If something is burning in your pockets, I know that we're magical and CAO Seibel and I can make that happen for you by whatever procedural means we have in place for you. So please do bring it forward should you change your minds.
Thank you very much. And next we'll be moving on to 6.1, the rates, fees, and charges established by bylaw number 1916/2023, amendment bylaw number 1947/2026. And it's had its first 3 readings. So tonight we'll be looking for adoption. That the rates, fees, and charges establishment bylaw number 1916/2023, amended bylaw number 1947/2026 be adopted. Looking for a mover, Councillor Wayner, seconder, Councillor Todd. Any further questions? Councillor Fowler?
No, I was just going to say that this is the final adoption. So we've had opportunity to talk about this back and forth and make some amendments already. So I'm fine.
Just double checking. Then I will call for the vote. All those in favor? And that will be carried unanimously. And next, 6.2, the financial plan bylaw number 1948/2026, and a report from Mr. Martins, our Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you, Worship. The bylaw that's in front of you is the final step in the financial planning process for 2026 to 2030 for that cycle. The bylaw itself contains 2 schedules. Schedule A is a 1-page summary of the 5-year financial plan. Schedule B shows the policy statements that Council has already endorsed. Being that there were a few amendments that Council approved last month to several projects, the first of the policy statements in the bylaw is slightly amended because of that. Those numbers change. But otherwise, all of those policy statements are the same as what was provided to you in December at the Committee of the Whole meeting. Also linked to the report is a summary of the public input session on January the 19th. So the information there requires to be received by Council. And I believe Mr. Seibel will have some comments as well.
Thank you, Worship. So as Mr. Martins alluded to, the appendix to the report provides a summary from the public information session that was held on January 19th here at City Hall. In addition to that information that's provided, we've taken the additional step of providing a bit of additional information as it relates to the Kerry project, specifically for Pleasant Valley Boulevard North. In putting together a timeline of that specific project. There were a few different questions that had come in about the project and how it came to be. Certainly, this has been a fairly significant project in the community. I think all of Council can attest to that in terms of working through this over the last couple of years. Just a couple of key things to note within that. There was some fairly extensive and robust consultation in the early stages back in October, November of 2023 to gather input and feedback on the process. That information was used to create a draft concept, which was then brought forward again to council, and another round of consultation was had through a public open house, which helped to inform the process and to the direction that was being looked at. That ultimately culminated in August 12th meeting at council, where the option for Pleasant Valley Boulevard North was chosen, and the direction to proceed to detailed design. That was followed up with a couple of meetings in December of 2024 at budget time that looked at the specifics of the project in terms of funding and how it was going to be put into the financial plan. It was noted for a 2026 project at that time, and council recall that there was considerable discussion around the Jackson-Sugden Pool project that was deferred in order to free up some resources in order to get PV North as a priority. That was clearly identified as a priority. And then at the December 16th, 2024 meeting, the budget was increased to 3.5 million based on the information that was available at that time, and that formal deferral of the other project so that it could be moved forward. So it's been a process to get through, to get the design done. That information was brought back in August of this year with an update on where things were at, on everything from the costing, the CN Rail involvement and the work that's being done there. And then some information on sort of the business notification and the work that was going to be done to make sure that all of the affected businesses were brought up to speed on how things were going to move forward in terms of the phasing, and obviously culminating with the issuance of the RFP based on that information. At the same time, back in December, council recall that the project budget was updated based on the most current Class A estimate that was provided. And early budget approval was given based on that $4.4 million cost estimate in order to ensure that we had the approved resources in place for the RFP process, which closed last week. So just wanted to add those couple of additional comments to this information. We will be taking this specific timeline and adding it to the website and the link that's there for the Carey project, just so that all of that current information is available to anybody that's looking for it, and will be available at any time. So,
Thank you. Councillor Nietzsche, I see you have your hand up. Did you want to partake in this portion of the discussion, or did you want to wait until after we call the question?
No, Worship, just looking on the speakers list to speak to the motion once it's formally moved and seconded. Thank you.
Thank you. So the motion stands that the public input summary for the proposed 2026-2030 financial plan be received for information, and that the 2026-2030 financial plan bylaw number 1948/2026 be given the first, second, and third readings by title only. Do we have a mover? Councillor Todd, second, Councillor Drapula. And now motion on the floor, Councillor Nietzsche, let you speak.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I'm looking forward to speak to the matter. I know that we're, the motion is regarding the entire 5-year financial plan, but one of the key elements of this financial plan is this Carey project, which is, a pretty important project that has been in the books for, 12 or 13 years now. And I'm really looking forward to speaking to that. In my 21 years on serving on council, I think this is probably the most robust and communicative project that the city has ever engaged in. Additionally, it's probably, aside from maybe the new arena project, the most public participation that I've ever seen experienced on a project within the city. I have full confidence that the process that we have followed allowed for the community to be engaged. Um, from downtown walking tours that I participated in personally with staff to and members of the community, to open houses, to online questionnaires, to an extremely well-attended on-site open house at Spirit Square. I really think that the community and the greater community had ample opportunity to give staff, the consultant, and council their feedback, ideas, and their opinions. And from that very robust engagement, council was tasked with reviewing options and ultimately making a decision, which is what we did. Council provided clear direction to staff on the preferred options. We challenged staff and the consultant to provide additional options and changes based on the feedback that we heard. And staff, and the engineers, they listened to those concerns. And as council, we made compromises on that conceptual design work, and we gave that direction. So to that end, I really feel that council provided clear direction to staff on our preferred options. We gave good direction on the budget envelope and to proceed. So personally, I'm very pleased that we are moving forward with a much needed project that has been on the books for almost 12 years. And I certainly recognize that there will be disruption challenges to the affected area businesses in the short term. And from my understanding, staff are engaging with those affected business owners to clearly communicate timelines and to work to mitigate traffic disruptions as best as possible. But understanding that construction, with construction, there is disruption, but the goal is to get the work done as quickly as possible, improve the downtown, and really make a difference for the long term. So I'm really happy that we're moving forward with this, and I really encourage. I'm really thankful to staff for the work that they've done in consultation with council to advance this.
Thank you, Councillor Nietzsche. Anybody else? Councillor Fowler.
Well, I don't know what else I could add to that. I would like to go back to when we first started talking about a downtown revitalization, and there were meetings before I think the public really knew we were getting going on it, including one of the funders for the design costs and community members at large and staff. And it just carried on from there. I agree that this is one of the most transparent processes that I've been involved in at council. I will take you back to when I was a lot newer on council, and possibly even in the days of one of our former councillors who's in the audience. When we tackled the project, I think it might have been about 2013, somewhere in that area. And we got down to some designs, and then there was some controversies about, I believe the big thing was about bike lanes. And so we went back and forth with the bike lanes, and there was just so much unrest that we finally tabled the whole project. And I looked back to see if I could find the costs from then, and it was less than $500,000 to do that street at the time. Granted, we may not have known then what we know now about how deep the work is going to be to remedy the big holes that are coming. But I don't know that I've heard anybody say they don't want the downtown revitalized. I don't think that there's anybody who has said to me or has mentioned that they don't think that road needs to be repaired. It's just about how to get there. And like I say, we mentioned to staff at the time, we wanted full transparency and lots of involvement. And I believe we had that, including a meeting with the businesses just a few weeks before Christmas. So I don't know what else we could have done. And because of that, I'm quite confident that we've given ample opportunity for feedback and process and opportunities to amend. And I'm prepared at this point as well to go ahead and see what those proposals come in as, or RFPs come in as.
Thank you, Councillor Fowler. Councillor Wayner.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think, yeah, most of what the history there has been said. I do see a large portion of the business community in the audience with the chamber here, and I'm just curious if there's an opportunity, I know there's a fine line here, but just to touch on that communication plan a little bit, maybe moving forward and just so what that expectation might be.
Sure. Thank you, through your worship. So one of the things that we had initiated late last year was a direct connection with the affected businesses on the section of Pleasant Valley North. They were brought in to give a bit of an overview on the proposed construction phasing, recognizing we got to get through that RFP process, hire the contractor to work out details, but to try to explain how the section of the road would be done in 2 phases so that we can keep some vehicular movements on certain sections throughout the season. Having the sidewalk available so that people can still walk to the businesses on there, but the parking will be restricted, obviously, depending on the phases. So from that, Ms. Cordell, we collected the contact information for the businesses, and we have an email distribution for keeping them up to speed on the project now once we get through this process. To not that we won't communicate with the public at large, but specifically to them so they know, estimated dates of when things will start and those sorts of things. And then as well, if there's issues that are encountered or emergent type situations, we can get information in their hands quickly. So that's the plan going forward once the project gets started.
Okay, just so I can sum it up and make sure I understand correctly. So we don't have the information quite yet that we would share, but as soon as we do have the information, we'll be getting that out to the businesses as soon as possible so that they can adapt and adjust their businesses.
That's correct. Once we're the RFP deadline closed on Friday, so we're just starting the process of gathering the proposals, doing the review to select the proponent. Once the proponent is selected, then we'll start to map out those specific details of that. And then once we have that, we'll be able to start communicating out the information as to when certain things will happen. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Weiner. Councillor Feller?
Thank you. And another thing, I'm just sitting here on a personal level, thinking about how I feel our downtown has gone downhill so much in the last 10, 15 years specifically. And yes, there's a cost, there's going to be a disruption to businesses. And I just hope, we talked earlier about short-term pain for long-term gain, that, maybe there'll be opportunities to rally the people to make sure that they keep supporting the businesses, and we personally go down and do the same thing throughout this process. And I feel bad that there may be a disruption, but there's just no way around some disruption to have our downtown come back to be something that we can be proud of and welcome people to town. So, I just don't know what else to say.
Councillor Todd?
Thank you, Worship. From 98 to 2001, I had a business right where that'll be affected. And we were banging the drum then to get it done. And nothing was getting accomplished. So 25 years later, we're finally getting to the point where things are going to happen. And I, for one, am ecstatic. I think this project has been possibly the most important thing on our agenda all for the 4 years we've been here. We all spoke to it during the all candidates meeting, how this is what we wanted to get that road fixed. And I don't believe that we've hidden anything or not been communicative. People have known that this was on the books and we're going to get it done. So I really want to ensure that to the business people down there, we will do everything in our power to make sure that it continues to be successful. I'll shop down there. The sidewalks will be open. We'll talk to the people in town. People in town I talk to want the road done. They say to me, why isn't it done? And I have to say, well, it's because the wheels of government grind incredibly slowly and everything just takes forever. And then finally, boom, things happen. But nobody's trying to screw anybody here. We all want to make this town successful and productive. And I just want, from my heart, I want you guys to believe that it'll all work out if we just work together at it. And I just really believe this is for the best.
Councillor Velster?
I love you, Neil. That's fantastic. So I've been pondering like real hard on this for the last while. I've I've had more conversations and I've had not conversations about this in the past like week at least. Um, and I was trying to think about how we came kind of into this kind of situation. And you know, I think it might be because of momentum. I feel like, you know, just like Councillor Todd there said, we had the all candidates meeting, and I remember specifically saying that it was like 4x4ing downtown, and then we immediately, first thing that we did was we jumped into strategic planning. We got into we applied for a grant, we got the grant, and we had the momentum, and we were really moving on things. And then I believe it was budget time last year. I suggested that we do PV Road last year, but it was just not quite ready. It was almost there, but it was not quite ready at that time. And then I feel like that momentum, like because they just needed to finish up the last couple of things, and we also had the OCP going on at the same time, which added a whole other list of challenges with everything else. That the momentum on the project kind of felt like it stopped, and then just like Councillor Todd said there, it started up again and it was jarring to the public. So I think part of that is a learning experience for myself to just remember that, like, you know, because we are in the know, like we are the people that, you know, that the people chose for us to on our decision making skills to listen to all these things and go through it, that, you know, if it comes to as like a surprise to everybody on that road that it's happening, we have some communication issues that we have to, you know, we have to address and we have to take ownership of. We had lots of community engagement back in 2024 and that kind of stuff. And like I said, I think it boils down to a momentum thing, and you know, we can't go back in time and communicate to people without letting you know that you have a time machine. But so there's that. And then I just wanted to also speak to it too, that like council was like, there was multiple redraws. We kept going. Like we listened to everybody while we were doing this stuff. And like I was out on roads measuring parking spaces just to make sure that I didn't have anything pulled over on us, because like I drive a truck and I want it to be able to fit down there. So yeah, anyways, that's kind of like, I feel like we have been in the know, and we only know the communication that we're told that's actually going out there. So I just a bit of a heat check on that. And then while I have the microphone, I know that we don't get a say in it, but I hope we do pick someone local for contractors. Again, I know that I'm probably overstepping my bounds here, but it's just something that's important to me.
Councillor Dropala.
Thank you, Your Worship. This project's important to fix the road first, and then I think we went through a little bit of how we got to this point, but I don't want to minimize the effects that this potentially could have in the short term on businesses on that road. And I'm trusting staff that we'll be able to work with them to mitigate some of those. And hopefully best case scenario is that in the long term, this is actually beneficial to those businesses in creating a more welcoming street. And then hopefully into the future, we can extend that to other areas of town as well. I think part of the consultation, and maybe this is just my own reflections, and it does come down to what Councillor Valstar said about communication as well, is when we extend the process of consultation so far, like, so we're talking about October 2023, and here we are in 2026, right? It creates so many opportunities for people in the moment to engage versus disengage. So like, we can't necessarily assume that the first people that we engaged with in 2023 are the same people that are having concerns at this moment. And so I think just as an organization, and I think organizations in general right now, is like how people are consuming information has changed, and it's changing quickly, and it's becoming much more individualized and personalized for how people are choosing to consume that information, right? So as the city of Armstrong, when we're getting information out, I think we continually need to reflect on how we're engaging different people in different ways. And I don't know if we know the answer. I know communication has come across this table, I don't know, a half dozen times over the past couple of years, right? And trying to find the right blend of it. But it's a challenge for sure. But I think it's kind of like the more consultation we go through and the longer we spread it out, the more fragmented that communication seems, even though we're kind of living it through the whole process. So I don't know if that solves anything. It's just kind of a reflection piece that I've thought about over the last week. But I'm glad that we're moving forward with the project. Again, iterations of the design have come forward and feedback has been taken from the public through council to staff to the consultant back to redesigns. So I think the process is working in that sense. It kind of breaks down with the communication sometimes.
Thank you, Councillor Drapla. I know that, I guess I agree with everything that's been said at the table, and I think there's one other piece of the puzzle that hasn't quite been mentioned enough, is that there is still a lot of support for the project. Lots of people want to see the revitalization, want to be able to, when it's finished, come downtown and spend time there and have a safe environment. And I think that's also another big key issue, why this is going through, and it's based on how it was originally thought of. That's the one consistent piece of this whole puzzle, is that it's more of a gathering area and it's more for families, and it's an improvement in our community, and it needs to be done. And on that note, I think we have a motion and we have a seconder. So unless there's any further comments, I will call the vote. All those in favor? And that will be carried unanimously. And next we're on to 7.1, matters referred from committee. Did any committee member or commission have a report they wanted to provide? Councillor Todd.
Yeah. For the adult programs, there was 77 in branch and 18 self-directed with a total of 1,400 people. Children activities, there was 40 programs with 447 kids. Self-directed, 37 programs with 384 children. There's a 5,670 children involved with school age programs. The total attendance of outside groups was 5,000 people. The total attendance for the outreach for staff going out in the community was 1,100 people. And to the end of last year, May to December, total attendance, that was people going out to the community. Let me just sum it up to say that the community library is a vibrant hub in the community. All kinds of things going on. We really want to open on Sundays. And have we heard anything yet about getting anything from the other half of the community, perhaps?
We haven't heard yet.
Because even if we just do it on our half and do open 2 weekends a month, I'd be happy with that. I just want to get it going, and there's a lot of interest in being open on Sundays. And there's people in there all the time, and it's a great asset to the community. And the more we can do to support them as well, I think it would be something we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Todd. Councillor Fowler.
Thank you. I wanted to mention a couple of things. One, the rail trail. We're with the weather that we've had this winter, we've been able to push forward quite well with the trail being constructed, and are now working between Bryn Rod and Enderby. So there's lots of work being done this fall. One of the holdups still is getting the permits to do the work for the foreshore, and that comes from Waterlands and Environment. We do have somebody on that, but at this point we still haven't heard back. there's a small window of opportunity to do that during the low water line. And if we don't get them in the next week or so and get out for RFPs and get the work done, chances are we'll have to wait till a potential opening in August, which would mean there would be disruption in the trail. Otherwise, we'll be able to go all the way from Sycamoose down to south of Enderby. So we're really looking forward to getting that permit. And the other thing I wanted to mention was coffee with the council. I didn't really know what to expect when we had our first one. I was favorably impressed with the amount of people that came out and the variety of topics that we were able to speak about. People that I had never met before that came to meet us, and some that I've known for a long time. I think it was very well received, and I do hope that we have the same type of turnout again with, again, a variety of topics and things that maybe we're not aware of that are an issue. I think it's just another one of those items on the communication plan that is important and valuable, and maybe we'll learn from that as we have 2 or 3 more. We have 3, I think, all scheduled at this point. But yeah, for sure, I hope the public will continue to come out and let us know what's going on. Thank you.
Councillor Bellstar.
Thank you very much. Just a Parks and Rec update. At our last meeting there, we got to welcome the new general manager, Cheryl Weeb. She's joining as the general manager, and they're super excited about that. She brings a lot of experience, and I believe that she's going to do a fantastic job for us. We held an election where I got to win chair, which was pretty sweet. And oh yeah, 2 other things. We talked about the IPE agreement. They're currently working through that. Hopefully going to have something soon. And the Kin Club is looking into potential ideas and places to have an accessible swing. Staff is currently working on where that might go. Possible candidates, Memorial Park makes sense. And then there's a shade option that goes over top of it, and a few other things. But it's still just something that we showed interest in it, and it went back to staff to see what they come up with. Yeah, and that's Parks and Rec.
I'll just note also that Councillor Todd, Councillor Fowler, Councillor Valstar, and myself had the opportunity on January 17th to meet with Minister Brittany Anderson. She's her group is small communities. I'm not sure all of her portfolio title, but that's okay. And we had more time than we would normally be allotted to sit down with any minister. I was rushing through a presentation, and she said, slow down. And we had about 40 minutes with her, which is quite nice to talk about our community, things that we have going on, the positives and the negatives, and the opportunity to ask for resources. I think we built a good bridge there. It was nice having the support of the rest of the council. And that was a positive moment for our community. And on that note, good.
Yes, I would like to bring attention to the fact that one of the Citizens of the Year and long-term, many years in Armstrong has passed away. Mr. Len Gamble made it to his 95th birthday, and that was celebrated. He and his wife Jessie Ann have been stalwarts in our community and very involved in history and the Canadian Legion and writing books and teaching school. And we go back a long way with the Gambles when he was our MC at our wedding, which was a few years ago. And he will be greatly missed. He's just been a well-respected citizen in town, and I know his outreach went far and long. So rest in peace, Len.
Thank you, Councillor Fowler. Yeah, absolutely. At this point in time, we'll look at 8.1 to move to an in-camera session that council proceed in camera pursuant to section 90, subsection 1A and G of the community charter. A, personal information about identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer, employee, or agent of the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. And G, litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. Move in camera. Councillor Todd, seconded Councillor Drapala. All those in favor? And that motion is carried. That ends our regular meeting. Thank you.